Hello, good morning. I am Isa Silver, and I am going to share some information about human design manifestor mechanics. And this is prompted by um, a comment, a posting in the Human Design Manifestors group. And the question had to do with something about the sort of royal background of manifestors, which honestly, I don't understand that well, but it's a little more metaphorical than literal, I am understanding. In any case, the formulation of the question prompted me to say to the poster, I said, I think your word formulation is not correct. Manifestors are not from royalty, i.e., it's not like we had royal blood behind us. And I asked, are you aware of the mechanics that make a nine-centered manifestor? In other words, activation by planets, definition of a motor, and the motor reaches the throat. And the poster said, no, I haven't read much on manifestors. I need to do that. Sounds like I'm just at the surface of understanding this. And then somebody else posted, I'm not, and I would love to learn more. So I'm going to see how quickly I can do this. So we're going to start here with the body graph, right? We have 9 centers, and nothing is filled in here. This is just the matrix, and here's the activations, the nodes, the location, and the activations by the sun, the earth, and the planets, okay? So those 9 centers, if you ever heard of yoga or did anything like that, you heard of chakras. Well, there were 7 chakras. Now we have 9 energy centers. And 2 of them are just about pressure, okay? This top center, it's about the pressure to know things. And this pressure center, it's about the physical pressure of doing things. That pressure is going this way and up these different routes, and this pressure is going this way, okay? 2 pressure centers. The body graph has 3 awareness centers. They have to do with awareness, instinctual awareness, emotional awareness, and conceptualizing. We'll just say that, okay? Awareness. This is not motors, this is awareness. There's 3 of those. And the body graph has 4 motors. The root motor, the solar plexus motor, the sacral motor, and the ego motor. They are sources of energy to get things done. They operate really differently. I'm not going to go into the details of that because you don't need to know that to understand basic manifestor mechanics. But the Living Your Design course, this is what we learned, right? Okay, so 4 motors. And in the body graph of 9 centers, there is 1 manifestation center. It's the throat center. And all of those motors and those awareness centers, it all points there. And manifestation has to do with vocal expression as well as kind of more physical expression. But it's about getting energy to the throat to make something happen. Okay. The main source, well, the source of all life force, not pressure, life force on the planet is the sacral center. Okay, 70% or roughly of the planet, humans are generators, and they have this life force. And it's about fertility and respondability, sexuality, things like this. This is the juice. Well, maybe I shouldn't use the word juice. We use that in other places in human design, huh? But the sacral life force is the life force on the planet. Generators, manifesting generators have it. The difference between those types of generators is that for manifesting generators, their sacral power gets to the throat directly. For pure generators, in other words, there's definition at the throat. For pure generators, it doesn't get to manifest directly in the throat, okay? But what we understand from this chart, 70% of the planet has that sacral life force, and it works in response to life. It is not an initiating force. That motor force doesn't work when this mind says, hey, let's go do that. This motor force works when that human is presented, hey, do you want to do this? And then that motor says yes or no. And if the generator is aware of how their sacral works, then they can hear it or feel it or observe it somehow. Anyway, the thing to know about manifestors is that they do not have sacral power, okay? What they do have is they have one of these other motors, either the root, which is pressure, or the solar plexus, which is also an awareness center, but it's a very powerful motor, or the ego center, which has to do with willpower. This is willpower. So when one of these gets to the throat, that makes a manifestor. A manifestor has a motor that gets to the throat somehow and doesn't involve the sacral. That's how you can tell a manifestor chart. So now I'll use my chart because I know it's easy. And I'll talk about activations. So something to understand about human design, we have well, I didn't fill this out very well. Usually you'll see all the red activations over here, the design side, and the black activations, the conscious black, the unconscious red, right? And the sun or the earth or the moon or one of the planets was in a location in the sky that caused what we call an activation, okay? So for me, when I was born in April 1977, the moon was in the 54th gate. And the 88 days before, when my unconscious was imprinted, the moon was in 32. I also happen to have a node, my north personality node, it should be on the other side, in gate 32 when I was born. So when I was born, I had definition between these two centers, between this pressure center and this awareness center. And that means that those centers are always on, okay? So I have a pressure center, a motor, and an awareness center. The awareness center can't do anything, okay? But because also when I was born, the Earth was in gate 57, and Jupiter was in gate 20, so they form a channel between my splenic center and my throat, and that's my voice. You're hearing it. So I have a pressure center, a motor to the throat. That makes me a manifestor. And that is actually based entirely on activations during my birth, my personality, what's conscious to me, and not during my unconscious. So nothing more to share on that. Does that answer any of your questions or share anything useful about understanding manifestor mechanics? Happy to answer your questions. Happy to see you in my LYD course or on my website. Thanks a lot.